Welcome to today's segment at Understanding the Gen Zs. Today we'll be talking about conflict between Gen Zs and their parents and how they could resolve it. So with me we have our wonderful guests who will be throwing highlights on it. What conflict do you think is common between Gen Z and their parents?
Definitely coming home late because sometimes in Africa we have curfew of like 6 p.m. But most times children or rather Gen Zs they decide to come home very late, like 11, because of they get carried away with events or parties, hanging out with their friends. So definitely that's a big issue with African parents.
The issues Gen Zs have with their parents actually, like I said the last time, communication. But I've dwelled a lot on communication, but let me go to boundaries. You know, parents and Gen Zs or their children, they need to understand boundaries. Parents especially. Now, let me bring it down to education right now. Lifetime decisions where parents will be enforcing that you must study this kind of course because I feel it's better for you. But as a Gen Z, as a child, you know your strengths, you know your weakness, you know where you can do very well. But your parents don't want to. Some parents don't want to see it that way because they believe that since they were not able to achieve that, why not you go on that path? And that causes a lot of uproar, a lot of distancing in communication, a lot of she's not seeing it or he's not seeing it from my own perspective. So boundaries is one issue that I know is prevailing.
I think the biggest cause of conflict between ourselves and our parents is misunderstanding. There's like a huge gap between how we think and how they think, and most of the time, our point of view is mostly not understood by them. And because they have a way of doing things, their culture is not really aligning with us. So, there's always big misunderstandings with how we talk, with how we dress, with how we every aspect of our lives, even how we use our phones. There's always a misunderstanding. Sometimes you use your phone for certain things. People make money from their phones, but do they really understand it? No. And if you press your phone for a certain number of time, there's a misunderstanding about how you press your phone, about literally everything. And like my colleague said, even the time you come home, there is always a misunderstanding.
Career choices. Let's say, for example, now you want to become a lawyer, but your parents are forcing you that you must be a doctor, which I believe is not right. It's not the parent that's supposed to choose what his child wants to become in the future.
Most time Gen Zs get carried away with how fast they grow and how quick they adapt to everything. So they think everybody is in their age range. Let me put it that way. Sometimes they get carried away. They become very insensitive when they communicate with their parents, and then they use some local slang they use with their mates, and then it's also unacceptable with their parents. So this is kind of something I feel like can cause issue between Gen Zs and their parents.
Our parents are trying as much as they can to tolerate the Gen Zs. Because who else will not wonder what kind of generation is this? You are saying this and they are doing otherwise. But then again, there's something about the Gen Zs. We are trying to let them understand or change the narrative that because we are Gen Zs doesn't mean we don't listen. A lot of times Gen Z just want to turn their passion into job. Career wise, like one of my guests said, our parents are always bent on choosing career for the Gen Zs, and these are common issues. We want to turn our passions into our job. Most times you see us stick on our phone. This is the digital era. Gen Z make money through digital platforms. There are so many streams of income. We don't even want to be jack of all trade, master of all. That is it. It's not master of none anymore. Because considering the tech world, considering entrepreneurship, Gen Zs are everywhere. So let's go to the next question. How can you resolve this conflict between you and your parents?
Definitely, I would solve this problem by sticking to my parents' time. If they say 6 p.m., I feel like by 5:30 p.m., no matter what is happening, but definitely recently you have shows that are starting by 6 p.m. So when you go out and then the show has not even started, but just because you want to respect your parents and you want to keep away from the nagging and the fights, you just have to definitely come home by that 6 p.m.
Well, resolving these issues with the parents, you see, is deeper that we see it. But you see, according to what I said, I said boundaries should be respected. And according to what my colleague said too, he said they talked about technology, daddies and mommies. I understand you feel we spend too much time on our phones, on our devices. I mean, come into the circle, join us, sit down with us, and even see, okay, how do you do this? How do you do that? Let me learn from you. Okay, can it bring in more money to support and pay our rent? I'm willing to teach you, daddy. No, it's not about willing, but if you come into the circle, we're willing to teach you, and let's hear from each other. I mean, we can sit down and talk about things. It's not by the raising of voices and all. So I feel peaceful resolution is the best resolution.
Okay, so this segment, it's very interesting to say everybody has shared their own perspective. Now, this is for our parents. You can see that the Gen Z are trying as much as they can to adhere to your own rules, because I still feel for our parents though. They don't understand this generation, like I said before. But then again, do not forget that we have the millennials, we have the Gen X, we have Gen Y, we have baby boomers, and we have the Gen Z, and even the Alpha Gens. As we come into this generation, you are expected to exhibit different kind of attributes. So I feel like the person should be more lenient with us and give us the time and let us create closure. Closure is very important in every conversation. Parents don't regard our own opinions most times. They don't give us closure to it. When your dad says this, is that. There's nothing you can do about it. So let's learn to create closure in conversation, please, between the parents and the Gen Z. This will give us more opportunity to air out our own views, and maybe we can be considered. Thank you. So do well to stay with us on the next segment, and please follow our YouTube channel at Generation XYZ NTA. Like and comment. You can also share your own questions with us or whatever you want us to talk about. Thank you. See you on the next segment.